John Lilly once put it this way: there are no limits at all to the human mind whatsoever, except those we impose on ourselves because of our beliefs. And those limits are also beliefs to be transcended. And that's a view that suggests that the possibilities of human transformation are virtually infinite. And we have no way of knowing the outer horizon of what it means to be human.
And really, to understand all this, everything, you have to go very, very deep into a study of history, consciousness, neurophysiology, everything. You have to be the supreme eclectic type of leaning, and you really have to be wanting to know who you are and what everything's about.
And the thing that you'll find when you go to sacred sites, if you're very humble about it, is that you are on a personal journey, and the sacred site will respond to you in a way that is appropriate only to you. The information is always what you are searching for. And it's the intent you give that energy that defines whether it is used for right action or not. And it is inside these sacred spaces that you will be reminded that you are a god, that you are a bright star.
So what you're trying to do is move through the course without ricocheting off walls or creating karma. You're trying to slide through things smoothly. How do you do that? It's called flowing. There's a technique that you can do that will allow you to touch some part of your inner being that has more knowledge than your conscious state does.
Called him Bodax.
Well, not to their faces, I hope.
I never met anybody that could see him before.
Neither have I.
Everyone told me it's in my head.
You should stop telling everyone.
I tried telling my parents.
If I told my parents, I'd have spent my whole life picking winning lottery numbers.
You can pick winning lottery numbers.
No, I can't. Stay on point.
Right, yeah. Yesterday, when I finally saw one, I gave him the finger, Holmes.
Don't you know? If they find out you can see them, they will kill you. They will kill you.
Little advice?
Yeah?
Carla prefers chocolate to flowers, and you should get yourself some candles.
Candles.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, good idea.
Close. That would have been a little awkward.
You two are really something. I don't know what, but something.
We're weird and screwed up, but we're okay.
I don't know. You are so cool.
So you deny me my weirdness, but agree that I'm screwed up?
You're right. I see your problem. Weirdness, it can be fun. It can be kind of cool. Screwed upness, not so much. You are quite weird.
Apology accepted.
Hey, welcome guys. Andre Hodge, Infinite Potential Healing, servantofTruth.org with you once more. Thank you for being here and thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey. It's been a bit of a while. Times are interesting and a lot is going on. Not so much in the public sense from my perspective, but paddling like a duck madly under the waters of behind the scenes. So I hope this finds you well, and as always, thank you for investing some of your precious time into me and my perspectives if you are here and doing that. It's been fascinating. I hope this finds you really well. It's already February 2024. Hey, so what I'm going to be doing is obviously by the title that's there, but I'm going to do Influences Part 4, which is long overdue. If you know me and you've been around me for a while, influences are, and the reverse engineering of the mechanics of them, of what's going on, is one of my hobbies, if you will, multi-dimensional hobbies. So I tend to have an interesting pattern of getting involved with apex invaders, if you've observed that for me for a while, and we've really not had any idea what's going on. So since late July, where I had this aha moment of working out code stealing and energy harvesting and oversoul hacks and stuff like that, and really being in it and under sort of very misguided influences and stuff for a very long time, to actually work out what was going on, thanks to someone that helped get my kundalini back that was being harvested by the Invader sort of network. So over this last sort of 8-9 months or whatever it is since then, it's been a very rich era of my personal discovery and very wonderful experiences with amazing people that have trusted me and invested in me, and we've worked out a lot more, because what I do is I work out these things for myself and then go out into the field in healing sessions, and with that wisdom of my own discovery and experience, I impart it to people and work it with those people that come through, and it's been a very rich, very beneficial time for those that have. So I do appreciate you guys. There's quite a crew out there that do trust me and have been through the trenches. Maybe at times you haven't trusted me and all that sort of stuff, and that's cool, but maybe I've sort of invited high-level discernment on me all the time, and I welcome that. But I don't think really people understand what I'm inviting there, because if I hold my bar on myself very high, and I've deliberately imparted where I've fallen down and all that sort of stuff to be the contextual truth of me, so you can discern me, right? Because there hasn't been that level of discernment in the community and stuff, and unfortunately a lot of us have been in the trenches for a long time, trusting a lot of people, and it's become very evident that they're anything but that. So one of the big concepts I've sort of offered is, thanks to some of the people I've involved with that have profound talents that are vastly superior to anything out there, sort of we worked out that Pure Source was hacked right at the original moment of its gestation of our consciousness, and so we finally got the track back of the original corruption and what has been done to us. So we've never really had the opportunity to experience purity in our universe, because the invasion happened at that moment at a very opportunistic time, which ever since, and I'm offering it's 1 trillion years or whatever, you know, there's different variables of time out there, but just imagine that original time of our source choosing to invest in our conscious potential way down the time to be here now, to have an experience. We've never really had purity of our pure source experience, which for me, realizing all this and working all this out in this recent era has been profound, because once we get that reference point of clarity, of clearing, then we can tune back into it and get that animated in us now, and then identify all the infiltrators and all that sort of stuff. So the mechanics with 22D has been very profound as well. And the invaders, they can only get to 11.5D, and then they have to hack and steal codes to get to 15D and stuff. So it's been the battle to get through all that sort of stuff. So it's fascinating because like what I realized is you might have say your butt hanging out below 22D and maybe 14D, right? And they're off trying to frack with that. And they don't realize, like, we're just like, look at you, you fracker. Look what you're doing. You're so obvious. They can't see us, right? And that's where it's been quite interesting because doing some of these big missions with people, we're just like taking everything back that they're doing, like all their codes that they're stolen and stuff. And I did a big GSF mid to late January, and I'll just keep it very vague. I'd love to share more details of that, but for this individual, I'm protecting them and stuff. But we just took control of all the government buildings in 22D and the whole internet and made it delegated to Earth. And we've done sort of stuff like that in the past, but people haven't been clear and have allowed themselves to be compromised and puppeted, and it's just very interesting. You know, there's a delicate balance of how thorough you need to be, and that's why, like in the last video I said, thoroughness is the only thing that impresses me. So it's just very interesting how people think there are exceptions to that rule and stuff. And I've sort of offered in that last video that mid-December was a very interesting time for me because I had a couple of really peak, better than I've ever been sort of moments in November and December, and had some heavy sort of situations that I got clobbered and stuff. But after that mid-December sort of thing, the metaphor for me, it's been a bit like Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom, and getting my heart tech stolen and sacrificed and all that sort of stuff, and really messed up. And what it's been though has been a very rich, in that 9 and 10 months, this last 2 months has been profound to actually put like the cherry on the top of the awareness of a lot of the influences and mechanics of what I call the Invader network and Invader surveillance network, because it's quite extensive. From my perspective, Earth is a colonized, occupied planet, and we're trying to get through the Incarnation War to get to the surface and then evade all the wiping at birth sort of stuff to find our path to activation if we've been undercover incarnators. And I've offered you my path and what I went through, say 2008, and had to make a conscious choice, and it's been game on ever since, and just trying to do the right thing, and then now establishing this Invader sort of network and apparatus that no one ever's talked about or even come close to. And it's come from a lot of the missions. Like I've done, I think, 30 missions now. Some of them aren't authentic, and there's a lot of backdoors being put into stuff, so I absolutely know when things are authentic and things are inauthentic. My whole thing is about fraud and falsehood, dread investigation, truth invites it. So falsehood doesn't have the stamina to maintain itself. So it's those sort of variables want to get things done quick, and they're not thorough. And that's why in my infinite sessions I have many components all overlapping with each other and stuff like that. So and in my setup for my sessions, I have like a screen that's like in a firewall that's the interpretation of what's going on with people. So I don't actually engage with people direct. There's a intermediary sort of situation. So there's a lot of effort to get me, say, outside my healer mode into a disarm state to sort of, if I'll use the metaphor of like letting guard down. So if I'm sort of just having interactions, then there can be a disarmed aspect that is interpreted as an opportunity for the invader aspects that might be running people and stuff. So I'm very aware of all this, and I play with it, and I allow myself to get hit to actually reverse engineer the mechanics. So if I do get hit, then I learn the ins and outs of it, so I integrate the defense so that sort of stuff can't hit me going forward. So it's not anyone's fault or anything like that, unless they're undercover incarnators that do have an agenda, which a lot of people out there are, and there's a lot of people playing both sides, and they've got to actually choose which side they're on, and it's just very interesting. So I've actually, like I said, I've been in the background working very hard on something, and I'm aiming to release that next weekend. So February 10th is Year of the Dragon start, and it's interesting because I've been working with 1000D dragons, and dragons have been involved again quite a bit. And I was born Year of the Dragon 1976, so it's quite poetic for dragon sort of stuff. So I thought I'd, not that I'm governed by time and calendars and all that sort of stuff, but it's quite interesting. So we'll see what happens next weekend. But I used to be a DJ, if you know, and I've even been listening to some of the mid-90s DJs. One guy called DJ Slipmat that played happy hardcore and stuff, and it's just one of the metaphors of DJs back then when using records, they used to create dub plates, which are like test pressings of not the main public release. So they would give their test pressings of their tracks that they made to their network of DJs to have a crack with. So I've created a dub plate version of my Universal Sovereignty Declaration that I'll be looking to release, and shared it with a few people. It's a bit raw, and I've changed it and edited it, and I've just been sitting on it and processing and disarming from it and going to the gym and working hard on my body, because these last 2 months were very detrimental to my physical maintenance, because things like chakras were hacked and negative energy was inserted and chakras reversed and all this sort of stuff. So my whole philosophy in healing, as I've said, I never do anything to you. All I'm about primarily is about energy hygiene, and once we remove that crap out the way, especially out of the spleen, which is like a universal port to the life force all around us, then our opportunity to flourish is there. And then particularly like Schumann resonance, 7.83 hertz. If you've watched the infinite potential healing videos, I've offered many that are quite a while back now. I put all this stuff there. It's the basic mechanics of what our bodies are very simple. So I don't do anything to you, and I don't want to. I think the fascinating thing is what happens if we are clear of all the influences and stuff. It's fascinating what blossoms out of that. So it's very simple metaphor, but it's like a bit like Karate Kid, wax on, wax off. You put the effort in, and that's where I did our intuitive potential parts 1 and 2 so far. Part 2, I talked about Malcolm Gladwell and him talking about outliers doing 10,000 hours of work. So the more effort and thoroughness you do, the better the outcome will be, and the potency of your effort will be. It's always hard to get going, but everything is hard to get going, as Miyamoto Musashi says. So I just dropped that because I've given a very simplified mechanics of how I do my pranic healing to people, and it's just been fascinating, the avoidance of it, guys, like stepping up and taking responsibility and having the courage to just trying it and doing it and seeing what happens, and then continuing and investing in that, because the influences are pretty profound, and as I said in that last video, the ally I've got is to be able to fall back on my own modalities and all the variables I've got to actually put myself back together, because it's not a game, right? It's tough, and we have to be tougher. So yeah, it's just really interesting times, and the game is on, and there's potentially been a lot of pushback in these last couple of months, but from my perspective, right now, where I'm at, it's a bit like the metaphor of all the ingredients that were going on in late 2019 and 2020, where I created something that was a solution for what I felt were all the variables I could trust at the time, which did succeed very well, but I got totally screwed over. And it's not about that, it's about my ability to perceive the reality and what's the best outcome with all the variables at play. And I feel like right now, with all this wisdom that I'm sort of imparting and realizing that I'm doing really well, my awareness is on the game, and all these sessions that I've had have been very rich in discovery, which I love discovery. Like, we've got the unknown against us, guys, and it's still very much in play, and it's not to be disrespected for its staggering level of technical advancement and superiority in some respects, because we don't violate by our nature. The Invader and Invader Alliance sort of forces, they do it by their nature because they don't want us to achieve our ability to go beyond them. So what I'm just suggesting is what I've brewed is all of this all together. And like this is influence Pt4, but an Invader network sort of mechanics, or Invader network part 1, because I think I'm going to go quite extensive on this theme, and I was going to try and knock it off in one big release, but I might break up many components and just offer some foundation components here, because I've been trying to get to is I've brewed all this together, and I've since in many of the videos for the last 8 months I've imparted many of the influences in them and not tried to do a separate influence release, because there's been so many influences worked out and stuff. And so with all that appreciation of, in the past, like writing, it hasn't felt like it's the answer, right? If anything, people have a lot of issues with writing and reading, so doing the videos, that's where I got into making videos in 2014. And it's been a very rewarding path for me ever since, because I feel like people will invest maybe 20 minutes or 2 hours into a video where reading a book might take weeks, so you get a lot more in a video. But right now it's fascinating because it's almost poetic that the videos don't work because of a lot of the influences going on with people. So actually getting away from the technology is a huge ally. I wouldn't ever watch any of these things on my mobile phone. I have a separate computer, because the app, say particularly YouTube app and stuff, it's interesting. I'll just say that, and I would try and avoid it, alright? But yeah, all the frequency sort of stuff going on, and so what I feel is actually having some printed out Word document to actually really employ your ability to gain awareness via that method right now is going to be a huge ally. So I've actually brewed something really big and potent that includes a lot of the influences, and I really feel like, in a short story I've put it all together, what's going on, and it's going to fill in a lot of puzzle pieces for a lot of people that, you're here, but you're not actually hearing what I'm saying. You're not actually registering or able to engage your technology, because honestly, it's not your fault. There's all these influences going on, and we just haven't been aware of it, because a lot in the community are actually working in partnership for that, and they haven't given us the information that with our generosity of trust has afforded them the privilege of being a part of our journey. Okay, so it's going to be interesting. I think a lot of people are right on the edge of their awakening and awareness. I said about 6 months ago or 8 months ago that it felt like everyone's oversouls were holding everyone back. Well, it was actually everyone's oversouls were kept hostage over in Nibiru, like millions of people throughout time as well. And we did a big raid with one of my allies out there, shout out to you, where we got them all back and freed them all up. And the invaders here were like burning down their embassy sort of surveillance sort of stuff, so that all their evidence wasn't busted of them doing it and stuff. So yeah, I just feel right now this will be poetic in what I'm about to offer. So we'll see how that goes. I'm aiming to do it next week, as I said, so keep an eye out on things. So with all that intro, I'm going to try and offer many concepts and expand upon other things I've said in the past, and ideally give you some reference of many of the things I've sort of imparted over these last many months in a focused influence sort of theme, which I'm sure you guys are very hungry to know all these things. Just realize, like, there's nothing to be scared of, guys. Like, we've actually been dealing with it without any awareness, so how potent is it to have the context now? And what I know is that, coming from the unknown of not knowing anything, or going up against the unknown, should I say, it's always been a disadvantage, and all these things are sort of being done at us, and it's only because we're a threat, and the aspects that do not want us having our superior abilities and technology and aligned to pure source, that are invaders and have compromised themselves to actually be working in alignment with that, and have done very negative things to us, and still have been doing negative things, that do not want our awareness of their treachery to be known. So in their defense, they're violating us, alright? And as I said in the last video, one of the big things I worked out is that by us being aligned with source, alright, we've employed the responsibility of the sort of karmic aspects of doing wrong and negative stuff, so we don't do it, alright? But these invaders that aren't actually aligned with source, they're a bit like illegal immigrants sort of thing, and they don't have to accommodate the rules of our universe, so they've actually had a free reign to actually do all their shit, and we've had to hold back. And what I've worked out is we actually get that, we can actually flip that. They don't actually have the protection of this universe, and we do. And so they're vulnerable now, that we can push them out and take care of them and just eliminate them and dust them, because it's not about redemption contracts or anything like that crap. They have abused that for so long. So as soon as we get our boot over their throat sort of thing, then they disarm us from taking care of things, and then they regroup, and then they come back, and then they do their thing that they've done all the time, and it's just that crap's over, right? So it's interesting when I did Influencers Part 3, and this is pretty cool. And shout out to all your mums out there, because being a mother is an incredible, courageous responsibility at this time. And you know, like what I've said about the incarnation war and the plundering and the souls that they're trying to get through, and just battling to protect the children in this day and age with all the effort to suppress the population. That's what it's about. Whether it's distortion or that, is trying to create doubt into people's minds of wanting to bring through souls, because we break open the incarnation war, and that's where a lot of these 2030 sort of plans are going ahead, to sort of limit that. But I remember I go walking to supermarkets. I do a lot of walking, listen to music and stuff, and I remember, like, on the way to the supermarket, there was a couple instances on that particular time, right before I did Influence Part 3. I remember walking past this particular yard, and a mother came home with a couple young kids, probably about 6 or 7 and 9, and I could tell the mother was really, really tired. You know, it's like had a work day and got home at, you know, about 4 p.m. and stuff, and her little boy, the youngest, like fell and started crying and needed support and stuff, and I could see her. She was just walking to her letterbox, and she had a long day and stuff, and I just observed how this mother, just despite her limits and stuff, she had to, and dealing with her own sort of issues and stuff, she had to engage herself to another level and support her child that was in need and needed nurturing and stuff. And I just appreciated that. And then I went to the supermarket, and I come from a single parent family and stuff, so like being the oldest, there's always more responsibility, and you have to grow up a lot quicker and all that sort of stuff. So, and then having a mother, you respect sort of the mother sort of thing and that, and but it was fascinating for me to observe this, because I was walking behind this Indian couple with a couple of kids, and they must have been like 3 and 4, you know, like tiny. And I just observed them, and this, I'll use the word battle, just to walk down the aisles, you know, just to get to the end of the aisle, because there's all strategic kids crap put on the lower aisles to like lure the kids in, to grind their parents down, to just submit their will to buy some stuff for the kids. So there's all that weaponization of crap sort of at that lower level. And I was just watching this couple just trying to walk down an aisle, and all the distractions that the kids were looking at and stuff, and just you know, we went through all the lockdowns and stuff, and supermarkets were a battleground on the energetic front. Like, a lot of them were like energy bombs, and because everyone was bringing all their crap, and that's the only place they could go, and it was just like very energetic battlegrounds just to be in. But then to actually appreciate from the parents' perspective watching this and stuff, it was fascinating for me. So shout out to all you parents, like, tolerating this brat on top of everything, alright? You know, trying to find your way and master it. And, you know, I've dealt with a lot of mothers and stuff, and I appreciate you and your trust and your investment in me, and I do really care for the next generations and stuff, but it's not my thing at the moment. My thing is to get people up to their best, because it's war that we're in, alright? And I've given away that possibility. I'd never really had a chance in life anyway, but I never really, in many respects, I was just trying to create the environment to actually be nurturing for kids and not play reality catch up, which has been the case for many of us, right? And so just trying to freaking eke out an existence like many of you, like with many of you guys, which with all this crap going on. And so I'm here with this, and it's just the reason why I bring up the parent and stuff like that is one of the big things that worked out is your actual throat tones. Like you imagine like you're a xylophone with all the frequency range and stuff, and a lot of people's tones, particularly mine, but because I know this, I can reanimate it, and I trust myself, and I put myself out there if I've been rated or not, so you can discern. And maybe there's times you've heard me, and maybe there's times you've not heard me and not being able to hear what I'm saying, because that's gone on with me and I put it out there. But I'm pretty good because I'm pretty bulletproof on this stuff. I can reanimate myself, and I'm constantly healing on myself. But it's a very foreign concept that someone might actually raid your tones. And so one of the indicators, and the reason why I'm bringing up mothers and the parents situation is, you know, if you're a mother and you're trying to express yourself and the kids aren't listening and they're doing all this negative shit and stuff, it could be an indicator that your tones are being raided. And, you know, there's frequencies in us that are very specific to each of us. And me, like, when I'm dealing with people, I can sense all the multi-D, and I can even sense the infiltrator. You know, if people have entities, and particularly some situations with all the email interference and stuff that's been going on, I know if someone's got an entity on them and stuff, because the entity is coming through in a frequency range in that audio tone. And that's why I don't interact socially or anything like that, because like I said, there's this thing trying to get me disarmed a lot, right? And I'm very specific about only engaging in sessions because we've been playing catch up. But what I'm offering is there's many things about vocal frequencies and stuff like that. I can tell if someone's a chanter that could clear the energy lines and do grid work and heal via their voice and stuff. But I also can sense when the tones are missing, and when there's a stream that's very weaponized at me and stuff. And I don't even need to engage it. I already know the answer, and I'm very defensive for it, because as I'll be sharing in this one with a lot of the images and stuff, there's the mastery of the weaponization and the advantage that the invaders have had being this colonized world has just been off the charts, right? So don't take it offense of how I am. It's like maybe, and the interesting thing is, say over these last few months, is that maybe I've got someone really massive that's really been hammered, and I might be the last resort. And what happens is something comes through from someone through the network, because there's an awareness on some level that maybe that person has engaged me, so they're under surveillance, and then there's a targeting of me to derail me before I do the session, and to prevent me clearing this individual up and being a threat to the invaders. So I'm just offering all this because I'm very aware of it. I don't talk about it because I don't want the mechanics of me knowing it, and it offered so that then the invaders can create a solution to me knowing their answer and coming at another angle and stuff, because there's a lot of people that are busted putting surveillance stuff in me, and I know it, and I play with it, because then I sort of put out this attitude that I'm pretty naive and stuff, but I'm like an eagle, man. I'm bulletproof, and I know exactly what's going on, and as I've always said, violation is your asset. So I'm like doing a Father Christmas naughty list and just going to town on these fuckers, you know? And then when I do sessions and help people see all this stuff, once I get them clear of all the wiping tech and stuff, then they can see it for themselves. So there is this, keep your 22D cards close to your chest so they can't read them, right? Because this is the other thing, like being in 22D, like just see them all doing all this shit and realizing these bastards, they can't see us. They don't know what we're doing. It's like they think they see us, and below 15D there's like, we're doing stuff, but up in 22D where they can't reach or see, it's like they're blind for the first time and they're doing all these frackery to try and limit us, and it's like, we totally see you guys. We totally see you. Right? I'm going to offer a lot of clips as well, so I might get into a good clip here. But that mother thing and the influences going on to kids and stuff, and then, you know, I talk about when, I'll just show an image, right? See, so I've shared this image many times, right? And this is like the ups and downs of our journey. And you imagine like being a mother and stuff, like you're grinded down, and then the kids get targeted and stuff, or they just go through that, and you have to dig deep, right? And then it might dip you below a certain energy level where you're vulnerable and all that sort of stuff and grinding down. So it's like the motherhood metaphor is a pattern that many of us can overlay, you know? So parents and whatever we're going through in life, like my metaphor with like having an epic client come through that the frackers are getting their codes from and harvesting from, and they don't want me to do it, and they've got surveillance tech in them, so the invaders know that they're going to come to me, and that's why I have to keep a bit elusive and very passive in my interactions. Like I don't interact outside sessions, sort of thing, right? It's very important because I'm guiding those people that manage to get through, because there's enough targeting going on with those sort of people, and many in the community and stuff that haven't been able to get through to me yet. Alright, so it's just really interesting. So yeah, I just wanted to offer this because through it you've got to master yourself no matter what. And one of the things I do is I go out and get myself smashed, and I deliberately get broken to identify all the issues that I might have that I don't know, the gaps like this last couple months are, but then also get grinded down to see how I can dig myself out. Just like a Japanese samurai sword, the katanas, like they fold them over and over again to make them the sharpest steel there is. Alright, much of the journey is like that folding of being smashed and putting yourself back together and learning from like your most disadvantaged state to be able to power through and stuff, right? So I'll just give this up front, right? This is like the metaphor of the Invader network, where gradually over years I've chipped away at learning it. There might be an individual and stuff, but we don't know that there's an alliance and a unity of the invaders or the invader alliance or the negative species all working with them. But bottom, there's all these players that are very much aligned with the big black cloud is, say, the invader aspect to our universe, that players in the community might be working very much in alignment, but we've got no idea, that have set us up for failure and stuff. And so what we're doing now is regrouping with all this and taking it to them, because we're superior. It's our universe, it's our home. They're invaders, they're uninvited guests, and they've overstayed their welcome, right? But this video is about explaining some of the mechanics going on and some of the tools that they're using, and I'll do it in some cool video metaphors, right? So what I'm probably going to do is show you the Men in Black clip. You guys will know it, but it's all about the wiping tech that they use, right? So enjoy this clip. It's poetic, right?
That
What?
was not human, I know. Oh, looks like you got some entrails on you there, pal.
What the hell?
The situation's under control. Calm down, please. Give me your attention for a moment. I'll be glad to tell you what happened. This is called a neuralizer. It's a gift from some friends from out of town. This red eye here will isolate the electronic impulses in your brains, more specifically the ones for memory.
What in the hell is going on?
Excellent question. And the answer you're looking for lies right here.
Who are you? Really?
Really? I am just a figment of your imagination.
Damn, what a gullible breed.
I'm serious, fellas. You're lucky to be alive after a blast like that.
What blast?
The underground gas main, genius. You fellas need to exercise a lot more caution before discharging your firearms, I'll tell you that right now. Especially you. Have yourselves checked out with EMS on the other side of the hill before you leave. Searching for a handle on the moment. I can't help you. The only comfort I can offer is my promise that tomorrow morning you won't remember a thing.
Yeah, well, that's not exactly some shit you just forget.
You ever see one of these, son?
I'm sorry.
Go on.
Anyway, I come to and he's gone.
Did he say anything?
Yes, he asked me for some water. Some, sugar water.
Sugar water.
Yeah, if I remember that right. Because I thought that was odd. They'd ask me for sugar water or not. Lemonade or ice water or regular water or tap water.
All right, Beatrice. There was no alien. Flash of light you saw in the sky was not a UFO. Swamp gas from a weather balloon was trapped in a thermal pocket and refracted the light from Venus.
Well, wait a minute. So you just flash that thing, it erases her memory, and you just make up a new one?
A standard issue neuralizer.
And that weak-ass story is the best you can come up with.
All right.
I knew it. This is an alien, and you guys are from some government agency trying to keep it under wraps.
Look, he said to prevent war, the galaxy is on Orion's belt.
This makes total sense. How else do you explain New York? The other day, I was in this cab, and this guy was...
Galaxy on Orion's belt didn't make any sense.
Look, that's what the little dude inside the big dude's head said, right? Right after... Damn, man. We did the flashy thing already.
Hey, whoever you guys are, you're gonna have to show me some idea if you're gonna be in the morgue.
Oh, yes, of course, young lady. Have a look at this for me, please.
Would you stop that? What? That thing is gonna give her brain cancer or something.
Never heard her before. Look, we gotta get all the doors closed off around here. Special services will be here any minute.
What? Never heard her before. How many times have you flashy thinged that poor woman?
Couple.
So were you not worried about no long-term damage?
Little.
So I hope you like that. So this is a bit of an image that I created. It can probably be improved, but the metaphor is there. So the being on the right, I don't know if that's your right, but that being without the energy body overlay, so you can see all influences, particularly the left here, like the left shin, which has been a big issue for a lot of people. It can be sitting outside the energy field, so that's a physical body metaphor, and this is like all the energy body overlays and stuff. So what I always had to deal with people of late is all the wiping tech, because a lot of people can be in a dazed state. Like what I said back in July was when I worked out the Kundalini harvest, thanks to someone that helped me get that energy back, so my pattern recognition could go off the charts and I could see all the misguided components all put together that form the pattern. And then I realized I said my assumption mechanics were hacked because all this wiping tech was put into me. So every time I would get an awareness of it, the wiping tech would kick in and leave me in that Men in Black state, right? Dazed and confused. And then they insert false memories into the left shin. So you're hacked. And a lot of the species out there, Lake January in one of the GSS with an epic being, we actually worked out that it's very common throughout the negative invader aspects that all of them do it, right? It's far bigger issue, and what sort of happened is that there can be these like jabs and then hits, right? So one of the grinding down variables is the wiping tech inserted, so it can set people up for traps. And you imagine context versus unaware. I might show that image. Imagine if you have awareness and then it's wiped, it sets you up for the wrong path, right? So that's a big thing that's been going on, the wiping tech. Because I've shown you this image many times. This is about the journey from unawareness to the 22D sort of thing, and the battleground that it is, with all these invaders in there and trying to get above it all and stuff. So I'm going to show you a bit of an involved image of this. Right. So this is a bit of an evolved version of that, and it's the awareness journey sort of thing, alright, with 3D 5 cents, 11.5D for the invaders, and the 12D is the blue, and then the 15D is where the invaders have stolen codes to access a higher level, and then there's 22D, right? But see here, I've got this section, and see that negative beam might target someone at a bit of a peak above the 3D 5 cents in that new territory, awareness territory, and it might hit you to lose a lot of codes and stuff like that. Might wipe you and all that sort of stuff, right? So then you might have a gravitation to a beneficial healer that actually redirects you to a negative healer that messes you up, okay? Because you don't know up from down, left or right, or good from bad, and you're actually being influenced to steer you into a derailment path that prevents you getting to the 22D sort of thing. So these are just the combined strategic sort of methods of the influences going on to actually derail a lot of people, okay, going on. So then there can be good people that are actually puppeted that don't know it, that might have entities over them that are being used as weapons, and their control and view is upside down, so they think good is bad, bad is good. And so say for me, I do get a lot of challenges on that respect, and that's all cool. I just offer myself as a variable to actually measure yourself against. So you might think I'm influenced and all that sort of stuff when I'm actually not, and that's the oversoul hack that I've sort of talked about in the past. But these negative beings can actually be influencing and puppeting so many people in the community they don't even know it. And yeah, I'll talk about that parasympathetic hacks of a good metaphor a bit later maybe, or maybe I might offer it now. Just imagine people puppeted and stuff, and they don't know they're being run by anything. But say me, I can see it all and I know it all, and people have to just be able to trust me and disarm in the sessions to allow me to do what I can do. But what I might show is a really good metaphor from Independence Day of when a negative being is running someone and puppeting them and hacking into their body and their parasympathetic. It's a clip from the autopsy of the invader that sort of takes over. So I'll offer that here. So enjoy, alright?
Dr. Oken! Open the door. Get him out of there.
No, wait.
Release me.
3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1
You know, there is much we can learn from each other if we can negotiate a truce. We can find a way to coexist. Can there be a peace between us?
No peace.
What is it you want us to do?
Mr. President. Is that glass bulletproof? No, sir.
Are you all right? I saw his thoughts. I saw what they're planning to do. They're like locusts. They're moving from planet to planet. Their whole civilization. After they've consumed every natural resource, they move on. And we're next. Let's nuke the bastards.
Interesting, hey? Bit visceral. but for me, I know when someone's being run and stuff, but I have to allow them to work it out and trust me. And it might be the most terrifying thing to do that, because they just have to be able to disarm and do the exact thing that they can't do because they're being run by stuff. And this, don't worry, it's not, I don't blame you or anything. I'm focused on the shit behind you guys that might be there that's doing all this, that you don't even know, that has influence over you, because once you're in it, it puts you in a, like, I'll show the Oversoul hack video image that will help, right? So this is one I've shown many times. So the top one is, say, if you're clear and you're not influenced, and then you can perceive the reality correctly, alright? And so that's me out there, just as a metaphor, but any of the good healers and allies out there. So if that entity gets inserted into your parasympathetic and then your oversoul gets hacked and you get disconnected from Earth, and then all the wiping tech and scrambling tech and code stealing and your life force is low and all that sort of stuff. So you're in this trap, alright? And there's someone behind it puppeting it all that is a invader that does not want you to heal because you'll be a threat. And so say what goes on with me is that I know people are interpreting me wrong and stuff, but like I said, it's more, I'm not governed by you as the outcome. It's, you need to learn to identify this and ideally work a way to heal yourself from it. But I'm definitely happy to help, but it's, you have to be courageous enough to submit to that and disarm yourself to allow help from someone like me and stuff, alright? But that's sort of the stuff that's going on. That's why I talk about the contrarian view and flipping everything upside down and seeing it from the other perspective and testing your energetic muscle testing to sense truth and all that when there's so much falsehood going on and influence. And my attitude of, like I've said, I felt there's an enormous gap in the multi-dimensional aspects, and I come from a logic 3D 5 sense world, like IT engineer, but my leadership has gone into this space to impart this information because it's like uncharted territory for the purity of source, alright? When there's so many, like I said, Indiana Jones heart priests sacrificing aspects of our body in the past and stuff all amongst us, alright? So I'll just move on. So I'll just go back to this one quick, because a lot of us, that I've had the privilege of operating with, I've helped them actually see this and appreciate the mechanics, and maybe they're all going through their dips and being smashed and targeted. A lot of these, I call this the tip of the true spear, that are very much getting a lot of resistance, but we're carving the potential path for the ones that are to come. And like I said, what I'm brewing in this creation that I've sort of worked out with all the algorithm of all my variables, I think it's going to be a fast track for a lot of people on so many levels of seeing all the stuff going on. So we'll see, but don't fear all this. Don't feel inferior or all that sort of stuff. You don't know. I'm giving you a massive download of awareness, and so at least you've got the data to refer to. Maybe you don't have the body tech to realize it, but maybe all this stuff has been going on, and now I'm just giving you the aha moment where you can break it open yourself, alright? But this is just a bit of a metaphor of our journey, okay? Of what's going on. And give yourself a pat on the back for even being here, right? It's courageous to even be willing to accept all this stuff. So I've got another image here, is similar to that metaphor. And we've sort of out-created the Invader sort of influence and stuff at the moment, and the key is for us guys to hold this awareness, overcoming all these influences and stuff, and oversoul hacks and memory wipings, code stealings, life force harvesting, disconnecting from Earth, chakra reversing, and all inserting of surveillance tech to read us and stuff like that, alright, to feed it back into the apparatus of the Invader network, alright. So this is a bit of a metaphor of, like, people can have the surveillance tech, like that little that little sort of radio receiver is meant to be surveillance tech. So these invaders can insert surveillance tech in us and read us and what we're doing, or they can insert it into allies around us so that they're spying on us and stuff. And some people don't know it. Some people are playing both sides. Some people are got stuff going on with them that they're blinded by it because this is all very advanced, right? But what I'm saying is, see the 3D 5 cents, the box is the most of humanity. The red box is like the invaders. But what I'm offering is that the purity of source, 22D beings that have made it through, we're actually seeing and observing all these guys doing all they're doing. And these invaders that have had the upper hand for a long time, they don't realize that we're watching them now and collecting all their intel of all their violations and stuff to actually upgrade the universe so that they can't do it anymore. And so every time there's a violation, we take all the codes back of everyone. Late January, we upgraded all government buildings to 22D, so anyone operating them can't do all their negative stuff. As I said, the left shin sort of stuff, alright, to hack into people and all that, it's all fed into the awareness of pure source and the 10,000 central suns, because we just send it all back to them, and the 1000D dragons that can go and collect codes and stuff like that. So I'm just offering that we're very aware of the invaders now. They've got nowhere to hide, they've been outed, and the rest of the universe knows them very well, and so we're just collecting intel of all their frackery talents and methods and taking away their codes, and they don't even know that they've lost their ability to read everything and stuff and see us, because we're watching them from a higher level that they can't access, alright? So it's just it's like the line in the sand, and now that we've worked out the bigger mechanics of what's going on, the solution, the context is quite straightforward, and we're taking back our authority, and perhaps next weekend will be a big breakout for our site, right? To put them on the back foot after so long of having the advantage of being bullies in the unknown, okay? So this is another image. It's quite complicated. I'll ideally get all these to my Instagram at some point, but this is another metaphor of the surveillance network, of the alignment with the invaders, alright? So I might just show you another image quick that's a simplified version of this. So this is one I've shown many times in the past. So say if you imagine they're different practitioners that aren't aligned to the pure source, they're invaders, and the circle in the middle is the negative universe source and stuff, and so there's all these practitioners that are influencing people, and we don't know it. We've never known all this stuff is going on, and people have just settled for what they're in, but they're, you know, we're being taught that 5D or 9D or 7 or 8D, when they've been operating from 11.5D and had that ceiling where they've been untouchable, and now we've worked out the 22D and the 12D source, and the code stealers that need pure source codes to access up to 15D and stuff. So this is just one that I've shown where they've had the edge for a long time, and they've been influencing a lot of people, and so what can happen is clear beings get compromised and then are used as weapons against us and stuff, and it's not anyone's fault. We've just been set up for failure. Alright, so I'll go back to that other one. So just think about this and the other one that I show you. Okay, this is a bit of a metaphor of the battle we're being in, and so it's not about green or red or anything. I use green as aligned to pure source 22D, and you can see that there's all sorts of surveillance tech, there's puppeting, there's people that are compromised and used as weapons. So you imagine what I was talking about, the voice frequencies of audios and emails and stuff. It's not anyone's fault, but we have to defend ourselves and maintain ourselves. Like I said, if I've got clients coming through that are very much beaten up by all this, that have surveillance tech in it, then I'm a threat to their control, like puppeteer sort of thing. And so I might be getting many weapons from many fronts, right? And what I realize is, even this week, on my Monday, I went to the gym, and I'd worked all this stuff out, and I was doing a big workout, and I finally got clear of stuff because I got a lot of interference again and stuff, and had to work hard on my clearance last week while I was doing this creation that I'm talking about. And I got clear, but then I went to this gym, and there was just a individual there that had some energy on one of the devices, and it went down my right arm under my armpit into a very, imagine like an entity trying to get into your lymph nodes and stuff, and it was really interesting. So that night, what I didn't know is I had to do an earth pranic healing, and this is all how the surveillance network and stuff works together, like the mobile stuff. So I might show you another image quick, because it will help explain it a bit more. So the metaphor I'm saying of going to the gym and someone was obviously plugged into all this stuff, alright? You see all that? So they're not necessarily bad, or they're not aligned to that, but most of humanity are infected with certain things at the moment that can be used as weapons. If you remember Sabrina Wallace, alright? So the whole network of things is weaponizing everyone potentially against us, and they might not have any association, but the system knows that, right? So like I said, perhaps I went to my gym and I got hit, and it happens all the time. Like, it's just, I know when I'm, like, my bubble, my energy bodies are being pushed against, and I just repel them and stuff. It was just quite fascinating, this one on Monday. But then, you know, my mechanics is I came home, I did pranic healing on myself, I had a salt bath, I did ear canneling, then I did pranic healing myself, and then Earth popped in and needed some help, and I busted someone, particular female being with a portal into it, trying to hack into a 14D level heart that I just cleared, alright? So I've been behind the scenes working with Earth a lot, alright? And I won't say much more than that, but that's just an example of the stuff going on. But all this stuff, like, potentially in the future, you're going to do that. And if people have surveillance stuff, or they put surveillance tech into you to read you, then there's a perception going forward of what the potentials are, and they track it back to you and stuff. So this is a bit of the metaphor of the battlefield that we've been through. That it's nothing to fear, but we've been able to endure all this, guys, alright? So don't feel inferior to this. Just, Australia, we've got this saying, R speaks class, arse being flukes or random or naive and stuff, right? It's like R speaks class. So you've been arsey to get through all this stuff and still be here, and don't even know this stuff is going against you. So I'm attempting to give you an edge of the clarity of the context of what you've endured, so you can have a defense for it as well, and then you can read it and all these variables at play. because they haven't been enough. All right, you're here, you're able to do this. It might be tough to get through, but you might get hits and stuff, but many of you have graduating from all this stuff, you have to realize, and you've made it to now for this potent time that we have, right? So what I'm going to show you is a couple of clips now, and I was going to show you these earlier. I'm a bit out of my, I've got a bit random in the flow with this and stuff, so it's all cool. I hope so far this has imparted a lot of wisdom for you that you can read and sense and see what's going on. But I'm going to show you a couple more clips. And the first one will be from a movie called Serenity from 2005. It's about the Firefly crew. And it's about the character River, who's an intuitive weapon, alright? And she's been programmed and messed with in the dream time and using torture tech on her and stuff, which is a very powerful metaphor for how our oversoul can be inserted, or dreaming aspects, or we can be hacked on multi-dimensional levels beyond dreaming and stuff. But it's, I don't intend to dream with anyone. I talk about dreaming big because it's like, use your imagination, guys. If you might be the original creator of all this understanding yourself, right? You might be in the new territory of an understanding that no one else knows, right? So dream big, but I'm not looking to dream with anyone, alright? The dreaming and astral realms are horrible and battlegrounds, and they're nothing I want anything to do with at this stage. I clear Earth on the Aurora Borealis and the South Pole and stuff, but that's about it, okay? But these two clips will be very potent because the first one is from Serenity, the second one was from Wolverine. And Wolverine is like from 2013 with Hugh Jackman. It's an awesome movie when you look at it from these invaders with agendas that are misguided, that looking to steal our codes and our tech. So what they do with Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, is they insert some entities into him that hack into his heart, and these entities are a metaphor of the multi-dimensional stuff that can be inserted into, say, women's wombs, or to hack our spleens and other aspects. Because Wolverine's, if you know the movie, he's got recovery tech, so he's like an eternal being with recovery tech. And one of the big things I've talked about is how our recovery tech and our flash tech is taken, so we're actually very disabled physically and grinded down, and having aging spells like the dark crystal, our life force being siphoned by these negative invaders amongst us and stuff that have been getting away with this but totally busted. But the whole movie of Wolverine, if you watch it, it's all about setting up a trap. Then there's a dream. I'm going to show you the clip about the dream time hack, where this invader, very negative being, is using the image, the residual image of hacking into his memories and employing someone that he trusts to disarm him to insert the tech in through his mouth. That grinds down his ability to recover, so I had to be very careful of how much I include because the copyrights are... So I didn't include the section where they're in a battle in this Japanese garden. And but then he works out that this tech was inserted into him because it was missing. And he does a scan and he sees it attached to his heart that's been limiting him. And he has to do psychic surgery to pull it out. And then he gets his recovery tech back. And later on in the movie, he gets captured, and they have this Leviathan, this creature that's in this body tech, like this armor. And they trap him to actually extract all his codes and stuff like that. So the Wolverine movie is an awesome metaphor for all this stuff I've been talking about. So I highly recommend them and stuff. But yeah, just think about how our dream times can be hacked, our dreaming bodies can be hacked, multi-dimensional aspects or soul shards can actually be tortured, and it can be weaponized through time at us. And most people don't even know this stuff is going on. These guys have been masters of this and been doing it to us for... They might be stealing a part of us from a billion years back and targeting us through time to grind us down and have doubts and all that sort of stuff. The whole wiping tech also, it's inserting false memories, right? So if you remember the Men in Black, they give us false memories, so we don't know what they've been doing, okay? So I'm just going to impart these two clips and I'll see you on the other side, right?
Earth that was could no longer sustain our numbers. We were so many. We found a new solar system. Dozens of planets and hundreds of moons. Each one terraformed, a process taking decades to support human life, to be new Earths. The central planets formed the Alliance. Ruled by an interplanetary parliament, the Alliance was a beacon of civilization. The savage outer planets were not so enlightened and refused Alliance control. The war was devastating. But the Alliance's victory over the Independents ensured a safer universe. And now, everyone can enjoy the comfort and enlightenment of true civilization.
Why were the Independents even fighting us? Why wouldn't they look to be more civilized?
I hear they're cannibals.
That's only Reavers. Reavers aren't real? Full well they are. I heard they attack settlers from space and kill them and wear their skins and rape them for hours and hours.
Pt4 and dignitien. It's true that there are dangers on the outer planets. So with so many social and medical advancements we can bring to the Independents, why would they fight so hard against us?
We meddle.
River?
People don't like to be meddled with. We tell them what to do, what to think. Don't run, don't walk. We're in their homes and in their heads, and we haven't the right. We're meddlesome.
River. We're not telling people what to think. We're just trying to show them how.
She's dreaming. Nightmare? Off the charts. Scary monsters.
Let's amp it up, Delcia may drop. See, most of our best work is done when they're asleep. We can monitor and direct their subconscious, implant suggestions. It's a little startling to see at first, but the results are spectacular. Especially in this case. River Tam is our star pupil.
I've heard that.
She'll be ideal for defense deployment, even with the side effects.
Tell me about them.
Well, obviously, she's unstable. The neural stripping does tend to fragment their own reality matrix. Manifests as borderline
What use do we have for a psychic if she's insane?
She's not just a psychic. Given the right trigger, this girl is a living weapon. She has her lucid periods. We're hoping to improve upon the... I'm sorry, sir, but I have to ask, is there a reason for this inspection?
Am I making you nervous?
Key members of Parliament have personally observed this subject. I was told that the Alliance's support for the project was unanimous. The demonstration of her powers...
How is she physically?
Like nothing we've seen. All our subjects are conditioned for combat, but River, she's a creature of extraordinary grace.
Yes. She always did love to dance.
River, it's Simon. Please, it's Simon. It's your brother.
Simon. They know you've come.
Eternity can be a curse.
Kuzuri. You have no pain? Kuzuri, how old are you?
Interesting offer. What are you doing, turning the old man down? Thought you wanted to be with me.
Come here.
get that thing out of me.
Don't hit my friends.
Welcome back. Interesting, hey? So I highly recommend those movies and watch them with these wires. 22D up against these fucking Invader eyes, right? But yeah, just, you know, if you're going through a lot of stuff, it may not be your fault. They might be having captured aspects of you by having any interaction, alright? And these are things I heal with people, you know? Like I take care of and I get them back on their game. But it's fascinating, and I'll show you the image. I'll use this one, but just see how crazy it is and how hard it is to actually perceive the truth, right? Going through all this stuff, the levels they'll go to derail you and actually turn you against, say, someone like me and that. And again, I'm not angry or anything like that if you get the perception, because they weaponize the emails and stuff. It's like I'm very firm because I'm guarding myself, because if I'm dealing with someone very targeted and all that, there's a lot riding on it and a lot that probably don't want it, right? It's just fascinating the efforts that individuals don't even know they're doing to derail the session for themselves, right? And I can't push. I have to allow you to actually allow me to do it, and I'm never going to cross a line in people. But the thing is, after it, you wonder why it's not resolved, because you probably haven't allowed me to do what I can do, alright? And that's where you have to trust me, and the effort to discredit and frackers relentlessly coming after me. Like, I usually have many of them trying to get in and all this sort of stuff, and just realize I'm very aware of this and I have to allow it. So to set up violation to go to town on all this stuff, right? So yeah, it's all very interesting, isn't it? It's quite complicated, and it's nothing to feel overwhelmed by. Just realize that you've overcome this to be here, and you're enduring it, and maybe you're influenced by it, and maybe you're triggered as F by me saying all this stuff, and you think I'm the wrong and all that, right? Go through all that and find the answers for yourself, right? As I showed this image earlier, to realize, like, they can be working on different energy levels as well, like different dimensions, different energy bodies. So that river sort of stuff, and you know, those video clips are visual representations of what's going on, but this is sort of the mechanics that can be done to us, right? And we don't even know it. And if you watch Wolverine with Wire's eyes, you realize how hard it is to dig yourself out of this stuff, and the aha moments you got to come to and stuff, right? So yeah, disconnecting from Earth, fake oversouls and stuff, and limiting life force and codes and all that sort of stuff, right? Some of the amazing people I'm around got smashed, and I'm having to put them back together, right? So I'll just show you something else. Again, I showed this a bit earlier, and this is a metaphor of our journey. And it can be all coordinated to derail us. So then you grind it down, and then trying to get you down the wrong path, right? Without the right context. And we all potentially have an instance of getting influenced. There's another thing as well I realized with this, right? Because what happened, like I said, I had instances where I had really my best state that I've ever felt. And so what happened is, so if I haven't been in 22D, I've been in 15D, and I've just been dipping. So then I get above 15D and I'm off the radar. So what happens is, people that are aligned with us, that are influenced, that can get beyond 15D, might be sent to send stuff to us to derail us and stuff. So there's, from my perspective, they've got surveillance of us on all levels. So if we pop off their radar of their awareness, and they might send someone even compromised above 15D as well, right? And that's happened to me. Okay, so like I said, all this recent couple of months have been very rich for all the discovery of all this mechanics, and no one's at fault. Everyone's trying to do their best. These guys don't play fair, and they've had an epic advantage, and they want to maintain it over us, because once we get on our roll, like I said, they have no place in this universe, right? And it's not time for light and love and compassion and all that shit. It's like, this is the life we've been waiting for, to have the answer and the antidote, to finally push it all back, because so many other variables out there in the multiverse are reliant on us right now, because no one else has been able to do this. Okay, so don't underestimate how tough this is. But then once we've got this context, how easy it is, now we know. And now we know we're superior. So, I don't know how long this is. Been talking quite a bit and imparted a fair bit of information. So as I said, I've been working on a dub plate version of something that I'm aiming to release, and that dub plate I've offered to a few of the allies around to have a taste of playing it in their DJ sets of their life at the moment. But I've redefined it, and I've made a new version, and I'm just sitting on it, and I'll play with it. I'll revisit it and stuff like that before. But I'm aiming to release it on the 10th, like I said. Year of the Dragon, being a dragon, working with 1000D and everyone else's dragons, and the dragons are going to be like, they're in the skies. You keep an eye on them. And don't underestimate how powerful an ally they are, and the 10,000 Central Suns, alright? So, as always guys, I thank you for being here. I hope this is a real powerful ally to you. Influences Part 4, it's well overdue, but as I said, I've imparted many of the influences. I just remembered something with this one. So in this one, I've got all these streams as well. So just see the red ones and the green. What they can do is they can corrupt all your variables of information sensing and insert corruptions to derail your perception mechanics. Alright? And I've had to help a lot of highly aware people, because don't underestimate like the vulnerability you have if you don't do the basics and you gain awareness, how easy it is to influence. These guys have the game rigged in their favor. We're incarnating into the unawareness realm to try and get up to speed, okay? So corruption is very consistent, unfortunately. So that's why I said the thoroughness for me is one of the key components that I respect in an individual. Like complacency is a bit of an issue, and then people get hit by stuff, as I said in that other image, where they might get hit by the wiping tech and then false memories inserted by the left shin and stuff, and then they go down the wrong path and get them into, I call them, they get complacent and then they go into consequence worlds where they're unable to get out of. So they're very limited state, alright, with the oversoul heart disconnected from Earth and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, just one thing might be in the left ear. You might be getting information in the left ear or the right ear and stuff, and it, you know, you imagine it's a fiber optic cable with millions of cables, and 2 or 3 of them are corrupted that just put you off, unable to perceive when it really matters because you're complacent to it, alright? So yeah, very interesting. That's another variable I just thought I'd slip in. So yeah, this is probably quite long, and I wasn't aiming it to be very long. I had some other components that I thought I'd put in, but all those clips together might make this extremely long, and this will be quite demanding for people to comprehend as it is. So what I want to do is just wind it up, and thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey. And as I said, next week, ideally I'm going to have something released. I was doing the analogy of my DJing days when I offered a version 3 to some of the people around me that's a bit raw, and for their DJ sets and their reality of their mastery at the moment. And yeah, it's like I said, for me, it feels like it's a very poetic creation right when it's needed, that will fill many voids of people and ideally get people up to speed ASAP, because it's not just a declaration of sovereignty, it's a bit of a story of where we're at and what we've been through. And some people might find it's too long, but it's not a book length at all, so perhaps it might be the most potent writing that you've ever read. Okay, so I look forward to that being out, and you and everyone in our awesome human family having the potential to get up to speed ASAP. Right? But yeah, I just want to thank you for being here. I hope you get something from this. I hope it's been rich once more. I hope you're doing well. Just remember how much of a badass you are for even being here. Don't be intimidated by all this crap. They're scared of us. They need it. They're bullies. We're just pure of heart and good people, and we don't think these things, but we need to appreciate this is what's going on. So I hope this is a huge ally in your journey and you get a lot from it. And until next time, guys, lots of love. The Brat from Down Under out.
In December, heading for the city lights. 975, we're sharing each other, nearer than farther. Scent of lemon drips from your eyes. We are the people that rule the world. Running in every boy and girl, all rejoicing in the world. Take me now. We can drive a little adventure.
John Lilly once put it this way: there are no limits at all to the human mind whatsoever, except those we impose on ourselves because of our beliefs. And those limits are also beliefs to be transcended. And that's a view that suggests that the possibilities of human transformation are virtually infinite. And we have no way of knowing the outer horizon of what it means to be human.
And really, to understand all this, everything, you have to go very, very deep into a study of history, consciousness, neurophysiology, everything. You have to be the supreme eclectic type of leaning, and you really have to be wanting to know who you are and what everything's about.
And the thing that you'll find when you go to sacred sites, if you're very humble about it, is that you are on a personal journey, and the sacred site will respond to you in a way that is appropriate only to you. The information is always what you are searching for. And it's the intent you give that energy that defines whether it is used for right action or not. And it is inside these sacred spaces that you will be reminded that you are a god, that you are a bright star.
So what you're trying to do is move through the course without ricocheting off walls or creating karma. You're trying to slide through things smoothly. How do you do that? It's called flowing. There's a technique that you can do that will allow you to touch some part of your inner being that has more knowledge than your conscious state does.